infamous Jeffrey Epstein birthday book is out, including the alleged letter and lewd sketch apparently written by his then friend, Donald Trump. The president, a short time ago, speaking to NBC News, calls it a dead issue. He previously said the letter didn't exist. And that claim serves as the basis for his $10 billion lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal. But now the contents of the sex offender's 50th birthday book have been made public by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee. And the visual evidence seems to contradict Trump's claim. Here's the alleged letter in full. It reads, voiceover, there must be more to life than having everything. Donald, yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is. Jeffrey, nor will I, since I also know what it is. Donald, we have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, yes, we do, come to think of it. Donald, enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? Jeffrey, as a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you. Donald, a pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday. And may every day be another wonderful secret. Signed, Donald J. Trump, with a squiggly signature there at the bottom. Now, the White House and MAGA allies are doubling down on denials about the letter, questioning that signature in the hours since the letter dropped. But you can see for yourself. There's the Donald signature from the Epstein note, along with previous verified versions of Trump's signature from around that same time period. NBC's Melanie Zanona joins us from Capitol Hill, senior correspondent Garrett Haake at the White House. Here in New York, MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin, and a lawyer who represents several Epstein abuse survivors, Eric Fudali, managing attorney at the Bloom firm. Garrett, you just spoke with the president. What else did he say?
Yeah, it was a short conversation on which the president called this a dead issue, suggested he would not be commenting further on it, and that he had essentially told his staff what to say about it. The staff have been commenting on it, mostly on social media thus far, including a post yesterday from White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, which reads in part that this is clear. She says that this is President Trump did not draw this picture and he did not sign it. It's not at all clear how the release of this picture and signature show that the president didn't sign it, but perhaps that's something that will come up in the White House press briefing today. For now, the White House position is that the president's multi-billion-dollar litigation against the Wall Street Journal, which first reported on this letter, will continue. And they are kind of leaning quite heavily on this signature analysis piece of the puzzle here, suggesting that the signature we see on that letter does not come from this president.
Notably, the president didn't deny the authenticity of the letter to you. And now it's plastered across the news, on phones, on TVs, and with it examples of Trump's signature from around that same time period appearing to match the signature on the letter. So, Garrett, is the White House not even acknowledging that at all?
Yesterday, the White House was handing out physical copies of other documents with different versions of the president's signature, suggesting that that was what we should be looking at rather than the evidence you just presented to our viewers on screen. The White House has wanted for months now to be talking about almost anything other than Jeffrey Epstein. The president has been calling the entirety of the Epstein story a hoax. They've been pushing to move on. The release of these documents yesterday certainly doesn't help that, but that will likely be their goal again today, to essentially say there is no there here and hope that people don't look at this much more closely.
Garrett Haake, thank you for your reporting. So, Lisa, what does this mean for President Trump's lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal?
Certainly not a good development, Anna, because the legal standard for defamation, and that's President Trump's claim here, involves having, at the very least, reckless disregard for the truth. To the extent that the Wall Street Journal had reviewed the letter, and their reporting says that they had, even if it wasn't in their possession, there is enough there in terms of the resemblance between the signature as on the letter and other exemplars of Donald Trump's signature for the Wall Street Journal to credibly say they didn't act with reckless disregard for the truth. And in fact, their reporting corroborated lots of other details that would make this credible, including talking to people involved in the assembly of the book. This also came about during a period of time where just the year before, Donald Trump told New York Magazine that Jeffrey Epstein really liked beautiful women almost as much as he did, and that he preferred them on the younger side. So again, this is not a helpful development for President Trump's defamation lawsuit. What will be even less helpful is when House Oversight comes to New York to view the birthday book in person as it was compiled in its original format. That's a bound volume. You can't just fake slipping in a piece of paper when they were all originally bound together and should show similar signs of age in that bound compilation. I'll look forward to hearing from the staffs of both the minority and the majority tomorrow as to whether that review changes anybody's mind about the authenticity of this document. I think for many people, it will make it harder for them to deny that this is in fact a document written in or around 2003 and signed by the current president of the United States.
So Eric, I mean, if this lawsuit against the Journal moves forward, and it certainly sounds like that's the intention at this point, could President Trump be deposed? Could he be asked, did you sign this letter? Was this from you? And what, by the way, was the secret?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that would be the first step, I would imagine, from the defense, from what the Post, if this actually moves forward, gets beyond motions to dismiss and all that, which I actually doubt it will. But if it does get beyond that and goes to litigation, the first step of any good attorney would be to depose the accuser, and that would be to depose Donald Trump. I can't imagine that Donald Trump wants to answer any questions about this really sort of bizarre, creepy, depraved birthday note. I mean, it's really strange, almost like creepy, perverse fan fiction. I don't even know how to describe it. It's so bizarre. So I can't imagine Donald Trump wants to answer any questions about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein in and around this time. As you just said, he was quoted in 2002 saying, discussing their similarities of being attracted to beautiful women. Jeffrey Epstein likes them younger. Jeffrey Epstein has been quoted saying they were good friends. So what's also bizarre is that we know that they were associates. We know that they were friends. So it's hard, I think, for Donald Trump and his administration to draw the line here when there's so much other evidence of their association.
Melanie, what are you hearing from Republicans there on the Hill now that they've seen this letter?
Yeah, well, the Republican reaction has really fallen into two camps, either ducking and dodging or denying and dismissing. In that first camp, there are still a number of Republicans who say they have not seen that entry allegedly from Trump to Epstein in the birthday book. So we actually took to printing out, as you can see here, the entry so we can show members of Congress when we walk up to them in the hallways. We've had mixed success with that one. But in the second camp, Republicans who are defending Trump, they're really echoing the White House denials, saying that this isn't Trump's signature, that this was forged, and just really dismissing this as fake news. I want you to take a listen to some of the reaction we got yesterday.
Well, I don't know. I mean, anybody can do a signature.
I think really someone might have just forged this somehow.
Yeah, I mean, somehow. It's so easy to do.
From what I see, it's not a signature. I've seen Donald Trump sign a million things.
This doesn't look like his signature to you?
Nope.
I highly doubt that it is.
Really? I mean, someone could have forged this?
Well, are we talking about the birthday card?
The letter
drawing?
Trump apparently.
Oh, I would. That's new for me. I've not seen that.
We'll let other people decide whether it's real or not.
So perhaps not surprising that Republicans are largely standing by Trump. And at this point, it's really only Democrats raising concerns about the relationship between Trump and Epstein. But nonetheless, the House Oversight Committee under the Republican chairman are still pushing ahead with this investigation. They're planning to haul in more people for depositions. And they said they're going to follow the money based on some new leads that they got yesterday from some of those documents in the Epstein estate.
Speaking of documents, it wasn't just this letter and the birthday book, Lisa. There was also within the birthday book a check.
Yes.
And a disturbing joke involved with this check. Explain.
So the check that we're looking at is a check. It's a mock check, almost the kind that you would write in a sweepstakes-like situation, that is written to Jeffrey Epstein with a fake Trump signature, this one bearing no resemblance to Donald Trump's actual signature, for $22,500. And the joke that accompanies a picture of Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump, a woman whose identity has been redacted, and a man named Joel Pashkow, who is a friend of Jeffrey Epstein's, essentially says that Jeffrey Epstein sold a fully depreciated, that's his quote, woman to Donald Trump for $22,500. The name of the woman, I should also note, is redacted here. This is a letter that comes very shortly before Trump's own letter in the order of the birthday book. And so I agree with Eric that this bizarro fan fiction is totally creepy. But one thing that I think is important to place in context is how much Trump's letter to Epstein bears a resemblance to other letters and other notes in here. There are lots of attempts at humor, poems, acrostics that are done here, lots of other juvenile drawings, including one by Leslie Wexner, who was the CEO of Victoria's Secret, and says to Jeffrey, I wanted to get you what you want for your birthday, and then draws a crude drawing of a woman's breasts. There are lots of things like that, and so in order, as you go through this 238-page book, what stands out to me is how ordinary the alleged Trump letter is in the context of this book, with lots of other jokes and similar letters from Joel Paschal, from a guy named Stu Pivar, who says that basically it's a wonder to him that Epstein's not in a penitentiary. It goes on and on and on. Letters and jokes like this for pages, Anna.
What does all this indicate to you, Eric, about Epstein and his cohort of friends?
Well, I think what this does is it really shines a light into the really depraved and sort of perverse nature of Epstein and his circle. This, appears almost that exploiting women, taking advantage, sexually assaulting women, even selling women was a hobby to them. This was something they joked about. This was something that was so out in the open that they would put it in writing on birthday cards to Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, these were such larger than life individuals, such powerful individuals that they felt like they couldn't be touched. They felt like they could never be in trouble. They felt like they could never, ever, receive justice for their crimes. So they're so open and brazen about sexually abusing and selling women to one another, secrets, and just this really sort of disgusting circle of people and what they were into and what they socialized about and what they did almost as hobby or in their leisure time was abuse and exploit women. So I think that's what this book does, is show how casual they were about the abuse. And of course, they weren't wrong, because no one ever really got any accountability or ever got any justice. 5 years later, after this birthday book, Jeffrey Epstein was finally caught and then given a sweetheart deal and allowed to continue to abuse women. So it shows how brazen they were about it, and frankly, they were right, because they got away with it.
Just quickly, if you will, what are you hearing, if anything, at this point in reaction from abuse survivors now seeing this letter out there?
Well, from the survivors' point of view, the more information, the better. They want accountability. They want exposure of the people in Epstein's network, but it's not enough. They shouldn't have to subpoena Epstein's estate. It's the responsibility of the Department of Justice to release the entire files so they can get full exposure, full accountability, and the survivors can finally get full closure.
Eric Vidali, Lisa Rubin, thank